I don't usually do these twice in a month, but the NBA Draft Combine just went down a few days ago, and it honestly did tell us a lot about some of the top prospects in this year's class, and has definitely shaken things up a bit, so I wanted to put out another mock draft installment now to update things based on that new information. Not all of the top prospects participated in the Combine, but quite a few of the ones that did changed the way that scouts looked at them, which will be reflected in this mock draft. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but it also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. Starting with the first pick in the draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Zachary Rissachet from France. That's right, there's a new number 1 pick firmly in the mix here, as Rissachet has been challenging hard for the top spot in this year's class lately. His French team have been in the middle of their playoff run this past week, and on the road, Rissachet went out and dropped 28 points in the biggest game of their season, showing off everything that makes him such an intriguing talent. He's a 6'9" wing that shoots the ball well and confidently from deep, both off the catch and off the dribble. He's shown plenty of signs of becoming a highly impactful defender, and he finishes strong at the basket attacking off the dribble. The Hawks do already have Onyeka Okongwu ready to take over their starting center spot for when Clint Capella eventually moves on, so Rissachet could also prove to be a better fit at the number 1 pick instead of Alexandre Sarr. Next, with the second pick, the Washington Wizards select Alexandre Sarr from France. If Sarr doesn't go number 1, then the Wizards will not hesitate to pounce on Sarr here at number 2. They are desperate for impactful size in the middle, with Marvin Bagley and Richaun Holmes being their only real big men still under contract going into next season, and for a team that has been horrid on the defensive end for a few years now, the presence of Sarr in the middle to anchor their defense with his rim protection and shot blocking instincts would be a very welcome addition. Sarr showed off an improving shooting stroke at the Combine too. He tested well athletically and physically, and realistically there isn't a world where Sarr isn't one of the first 2 names selected on draft night. Next, with the third pick, the Houston Rockets select Donovan Clingan from Connecticut. Clingan's stock as a prospect soared throughout UConn's title run this season as an elite defensive big man with the footwork, feel for the game, rotational awareness, and shot blocking skills to slot into any lineup and succeed. On top of that, Clingan showed up to the Combine and demonstrated that he is actually a much better 3-point shooter than he ever showed too, testing above average in the 3-point shooting drills performed. He's also officially 7'2" with the longest standing reach in the draft this year, so for a Houston team that is starting to build a unit that takes pride on the defensive side of the ball, he and his length would fit in right perfectly. Up next, with the fourth pick, the San Antonio Spurs select Reed Sheppard from Kentucky. Sheppard's season ended on a pretty sour note in March Madness, but him showing up to the Combine and dominating quelled any worries from that time and reminded everyone that one bad game does not define a prospect's potential after an objectively stellar season as a whole. Sheppard is one of the smartest playmakers, if not the smartest in the class after a year, who scores incredibly efficiently, makes the right decisions on the ball, and now can also say that he has the highest vertical leap in the draft this year as well, with a 42-inch jump at the Combine, showing that he is as athletic as it gets on top of all of that. The Spurs are in desperate need of backcourt talent moving forward, and Sheppard's steadiness is something I could easily see Coach Greg Popovich embracing. Next, with the fifth pick, the Detroit Pistons select Matas Buzelis from G League Ignite. Buzelis is still someone I'm seeing the Pistons connected to a lot, and I see why, because after the draft lottery hosed them out of a top 4 pick again, they'll be looking for both upside and fit, which means they'll be looking to take the best wing player available. Buzelis has good size on the wing at 6'9", he's a very skillful player with good court vision and passing skills, he's shown he can defend multiple positions comfortably, he just needs to improve as a shooter. He's shown he can take and make big shots, just not consistently at the current moment, but his combination of athleticism, skill, and potential make him a swing worth taking here. Up next with the 6th pick, the Charlotte Hornets select Stephon Castle from UConn. Castle's stock obviously rose a ton throughout UConn's title run as well, but then at the Combine he helped himself out even further, with an outstanding showing across the board. The basis of Castle being as highly regarded of a prospect as he is comes from the fact that he is one of the best perimeter defenders in the draft with a strong NBA-ready body, and he's an impressive slasher on offense. His jumper was just pretty inconsistent. At the Combine though, he posted the 4th best results in the shooting on the move drill, calming a lot of the concerns about his shot and how it will translate. So for a Hornets team that also needs a lot of defensive help, he is someone they'll definitely take a look at. Next, with the 7th pick, the Portland Trailblazers select Tidjane Salaun from France. I mentioned earlier that the French League playoffs were happening now, and Salaun is another prospect who put up one of his best games of the year on that big stage, as he just dropped 19 points in the most recent playoff game they played with the pressure on. Salaun is another big, strong wing player that makes so much happen with or without the basketball, as he finds the space on cuts to create easy layups, he throws down lobs, and he even knocked down a few deep threes in that game as well. The Trailblazers have a plethora of young guards already, so they need more wing talent to add to their core, and Salaun's trending up and up as the draft approaches. Next, with the 8th pick, the San Antonio Spurs select Nikola Topic from Serbia. The Spurs have 2 picks in the top 10, so the assumption is they'll use at least one of them on a guard to bolster their objectively weak backcourt, but if Topic slips this far, it's going to be hard for them to pass on him, taking both he and Sheppard, who they selected earlier. Topic has been seen as a top 5 prospect for most of the season, but a knee injury forced him to miss a good chunk of the season, and then about a week ago, he re-injured that same knee unfortunately, and with lingering knee issues going into the draft, that could definitely be something that causes a bit of a slide. Luckily, the Spurs are in a position where they get 2 cracks at nailing a pick here, so they can afford to take the risk that comes with him because his passing talent is something they desperately need to make Victor Wembanyama's life easier. Up next, with the 9th pick, the Memphis Grizzlies select Dalton Knecht from Tennessee. The Grizzlies will be back in the playoff hunt next season as long as Ja Morant can stay healthy, but if last season exposed anything about this group without him, it's that they desperately need more offensive firepower. The Grizzlies ranked dead last on offense this past season, so bringing in the sharpshooting flamethrower that is Dalton Knecht seems like an obvious fit. Knecht averaged about 22 points per game this season, he knocks down 40% of his threes, and at the Combine he only further proved his shooting prowess with the 2nd best showing in the spot-up shooting drill and the 4th best result in the movement shooting drill. Next, with the 10th pick, the Utah Jazz select Cody Williams from Colorado. Williams is still a relatively raw talent, but he has good size for a wing player, he shoots it well, and he has the tools to be a great defender. The Jazz right now are another young team with quite a bit of talent in the backcourt and with their big men, but their lack of wings will need to be addressed, and with the upside Williams provides, it definitely is an option that they'll explore. Up next, with the 11th pick, the Chicago Bulls select Ron Holland from G League Ignite. It seems likely that Zach LaVine's time in Chicago will be coming to an end this summer as they are going to explore the trade market for him, so with that spot opening up, Holland is the type of talent that would definitely be worth taking a swing on. At the beginning of the year, Holland was expected to be in contention for the number 1 pick, but his inefficiency scoring the ball outside of the paint kind of held him back from that. But there's still a lot to like with his game. He may be the most explosive athlete in the open floor and gets to the rim at will, so for a Chicago team looking for the most upside at this spot, Holland is the answer. Next, with the 12th pick, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Devin Carter from Providence. Carter was one of the biggest winners of the entire Combine this year, as he was another prospect with iffy shooting numbers that made scouts question his upside, but then he was one of the better shooters in the spot-up shooting and the movement shooting drills, so that opened some eyes showing that there is a clear path to improvement as a shooter for him. That, on top of the fact that he's one of the most athletic players in the entire class, tying Reed Sheppard for the biggest vertical leap in the draft Combine, and the fact that he is a dog on defense, locking up the opposing team's best players night to night, he could definitely sneak into the lottery for a Thunder team that prioritizes two-way play and needs more backcourt depth. Up next, with the 13th pick, the Sacramento Kings select Rob Dillingham from Kentucky. Dillingham was unfortunately one prospect that opened some eyes in the wrong way at the Combine this year, as he officially measured in at 6'1", weighing 164 pounds. And while that doesn't tell the whole story of a player, it's tough to overlook that there are only 3 players in the current NBA database that weigh less than him, and they are all G League players. His struggles defensively at that light of a weight may hold him back from ever being a true star, but as an impactful sixth man that can ignite an offense with his elite shot-making and playmaking skills, he would be a great fit in Sacramento, replacing Malik Monk, who is a free agent this summer. And finally, with the last pick of the lottery, the Portland Trail Blazers select Jacoby Walter from Baylor. Wing talent is the Blazers' biggest need, but with them taking Salaun with the 7th pick earlier, they can go the best player available route here, and I believe Walter is just that. He's a pure scoring talent who has a knack for tough shot making and a quick trigger from anywhere on the floor. He's streaky like any other volume scorer, but when he heats up, he can single-handedly take over a game. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below which prospect you're most excited about. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.